Really appreciate I don't know if you guys heard about the Skull session, but it looked about packed to me, and I know it was Alumni Band Weekend. And that's always been one of my favorite weekends to come back and you hear about all the alumni band members coming back. So I tell our players just you appreciate what you do, where you do, and who you do it with. And I know our guys do, but as young people and even old people have to be reminded of that. And so I always like to give a little piece of gratitude for our fans and for the band and just the environment. It was a fantastic environment. Our defense played outstanding to keep that group under wraps. I mean, the second quarter, I want to say, was like, 10 yards or something like that. And then obviously on offense, I think, the old right-hander steps in again and really did a nice job. He's too slow, not strong enough arm, but all he does is lead, manage, distribute, and really have incredible knowledge of the game. And then also incredible leadership skills where players respond. So I think, plus our Australian did a nice job too. Punting the ball, so I'm not sure what his net was. Or
42.
That's it? 42. Is that right? You sure? You're probably wrong there, Jerry. Oh, okay. Jerry's right. What do you know? So I'll answer any questions for you.
We'll open it up on the right, Tim.
Yeah, just a couple of quick threes. Number one, how's Braxton? What could he have gone back in if you needed him? What's the update?
We had a long discussion on the sideline. I think he could have, but things that make him dangerous are his wheels, and I don't think it would have been. So, we all decided it was best not to. I think there's a chance he'll be ready next week.
Okay. Corey Philly Brown, you wanted more out of him. You talked about this last week. I mean, he has 2 touchdown catches, I think 6 or 7 catches. Just what was your take on his day?
Yeah, the thing we're not good at is the little nowls and little screens where, those, we've all had players that turn those little things into big things, and we're not doing a very good job of that right now. So our challenge will be to work on that. There's too much dancing around with him and Devin Smith, and, got to break a tackle once in a while. And it took him about 6 games to figure that last year, and then all of a sudden he started doing it on punt returns, and then remember against Illinois when he finally broke one. Him and Devin broke one against Indiana. So that's an area that we're not strong at right now.
Far left, Austin.
Urban, you referenced Kenny being slow and weak arm there. I think you're kidding, but is there any part of the offense that you don't feel comfortable with Kenny running compared to Braxton? And is there even a small part of you that wondered how he would handle a full game if the situation arose?
Well, he played a full game today. I mean, that was, you saw it. Yeah, there's oftentimes I think about that because once again, some of the balls, I am joking. He does have a strong enough arm. He is fast enough. But he's got to let it in with more confidence because when he does, he's fun to watch. He does a nice job. His management of the game and reads and those type of things and getting us in the right play, which a lot of, times you don't even see because you just think it's, I don't know if you notice, a lot of times look back, we're checking and those kind of things. That's a quarterback's responsibility to get us in the right play, and he did that very well. And he always does that. He's a coach. He really, and I told him that he needs to coach someday because he's got a really good mind and he's got incredible leadership skills.
Front row right, Bill.
Bill Rabinowitz, Dispatch. Austin took my questions while audible. The defense played, it looked like they played with much more aggressiveness, much more cohesion. What was your take on it, and was there something said during the week about playing that way?
I just think our middle linebacker has a second game under his belt. I think he played better. I'm not sure. I think Ryan Shazier, if you remember last year, started slow. I felt training camp he wasn't like he was at the end of last year. And then obviously when you get your leader back, C.J. Barnett, and I think Roby helped as well. I don't know how much he was challenged out there, but I think when you start to get your peoples back. When you get your people back, you got a chance because it is, they're aligned, they're cohesive, and all the things you just said. And I think our coaches get a little more comfortable calling pressures when everybody's back.
Second row left, Patrick.
Pat Brennan, Buckeye Sports Bulletin. Coach, a bit was made at the beginning of the week of players returning from injury and suspension. So for the Robies and Rod Smiths and C.J. Barnetts of the world, how would you evaluate their play today?
Oh, no better after film, but I think pretty good. I think Rod Smith, he was on punt team, which is you can't play unless you're involved, and that tells you how much I trust him because he works really hard at it. I think he ran the ball. Okay, I don't even know. I don't have him down there. And I think Roby and we'll know more next week, but I think they played pretty good.
Front row, Todd.
Irvin, a couple. How important was it for Kenny to score right after, at least get a touchdown there right after Braxton's injury? The stadium's quiet. just instead of settling for 3 there, how important was it to set the tone there? And then can you give us an update on Adolphus Washington as well?
Adolphus has got a groin injury. He'll be day-to-day. And how important, I think, momentum's in those kind of games are worth about 14 points, especially a young team. The stadium was only quiet, but our sideline was very quiet. But it's amazing how much confidence they have in him. And especially with that little trick play when, we had the quads out there, and that's the one he ran for 60 yards or 50. How long was that?
44.
44. I guess it took him a while, so it. I got to quit giving Kenny a hard time. But I'll tell you what, it's incredible to see that. I've never had a guy like that. I guess I did when we had Chris Leak and Tim, but never had the confidence that they have in our backup quarterback's incredible.
What did it do for you, though? I mean, to see the backup go out there and, you're starting your main guys in the locker room at that point. And
Well, I never expected what happened today. That team won 9 games. Their head coach is a guy I have a lot of respect for. Before the game, we sat and talked, and he said he's got really good. They're not playing very well, and that's what he's told me. And he said, but we have really good players, and I think they're going to end up being a good team. I didn't expect that at all. I thought they have very good receivers. I think their tailback's a dynamic player, and I thought their defense is very disruptive. But I really believe Kenny can do it. It doesn't surprise me. But as far as it gives me an energy burst like the entire stadium did when he moves us right down the field.
Far left, Doug.
Urban, specifically on the defensive line, with losing the 4 starters, you talk about Michael Bennett this week. What a good practice player he was.
Yeah, difference.
Seemed like he showed it.
He's a difference maker right now. Not to interrupt you, but he is. I can't think of a guy playing better, leading better. We just got called out in front of the entire team. He is a perfect example of hard work. Because this time last year, non-existent. Not really. When he went in, he was a liability. Now he goes in and he's the lead, one of the leaders on our defense.
And then it seemed like beyond the starters, when Adolphus went out, you got contributions from Steve Miller or Joey Bosa or guys like that. You think you have some depth on the D-line too?
Yeah, that's in a strange way. The injuries to Corey Lindsley and Norwell created some depth on offensive line, and then Joey Bosa and Steve Miller. Obviously our coaches got a lot of confidence. You need a rotation in there, so when they get back, it's just more and more playing time they got. And you saw Mike Hill and Chris Carter get a lot of lengthy period of work in there.
2 more questions, Dan and then Bill.
Coach, Dan Oak from the Lantern. Can you explain the rationale behind giving Armani Reeves the start, having him play for 2 plays, and then switching over to Bradley?
You have to talk with Coach Combs about that, and that's just a decision that our staff made.
Bill.
You said that your Florida team had great confidence in Tim when he was the backup quarterback, but it seems like Leak was more of a game manager, or would I be wrong with that? Who would you compare Kenny to? You had a real dynamic guy when you won with Tebow anyway, when you won it all.
I'll probably stay away from that because I don't need headlines. And so I just think Kenny Guyton is a great distributor of the ball. And I would say if you had an efficiency as far as making the right decisions, which this style of offensive quarterback does a lot more than hand off and has to get us in the right play, Kenny is a very, very high percentage of getting us in the right stuff at the right time. The entire game today, or a good majority of the team, was getting us in the right play against the certain defenses, whether it be a speed option, whether it be a drop back pass or an inside run. A lot of that was dictated by the quarterback, which is a lot of times what happens.